Hey YouTube, here with the latest how to play, how to side, and how to buy. Okay, so I'm going to be going through Mermail Atlanteans because they're going to be the next top competitive deck. I'm not going to say they're tier 0 or anything, not by any stretch of the imagination, but they're going to be very competitive and you are going to have to know how to play against them. Or play them if you want to use them. They're going to be ridiculously expensive because play 3 of staples are secrets. Plus, Moulangrace, that makes the deck even stronger, is also a secret. And that's like, with those 3 cards, Abyssphere, Abysmegalo, and Moulangrace alone, you're like over $400. So, I'm not going to play the deck, but some other people might. But either way, you have to be prepared to see it at regionals and a lot of events, because it is a very strong deck. We're going to start off with Abysmegalo. First of all, his effect, level 7, 2400 attack. Effect is discard 2 water monsters and then special summon him from your hand. It is an effect. It's not an inherent summon, which means Thunder King and Solemn Judgment can't stop it. So that sucks. His other effect is that when he's on the field, you contribute another water monster on the field to let Abysmegalo attack twice per turn. It's dangerous because that he can pop other monsters and then get Atlantean effects off to destroy your back row or your Reaper or whatever you have and then attack you directly for 4800 damage. Like, it's scary how much destruction these guys have. Like, they're kind of like the new Insectors in a way because they can just keep popping those back rows. Not nearly as consistent, but still very powerful. Next is Abyssphere. She is 1500 attack, which means you can bottomless her, which you're going to want to do every time you get the chance. Because when she's sent from the field to the grave, and when she's destroyed and sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a Mermail from your deck, which is really annoying because she can get out a 24 beater automatically or get out another Mermail that can use an Atlantean effect when it's special summoned. So that's really annoying. She's only a level 3, thankfully, but yeah, you're going to want to bottomless her, you're going to want to remove her, bounce her, don't destroy her if you can avoid it. She can't special summon another Abyssphere, that's key, so they can't go like Giant Rat loops and go Giant Rat, Giant Rat, Giant Rat, then whatever monster you want. Like, she can't go Abyssphere, Abysmegalo. Like, she has to summon whatever else she's going to summon that turn. And they like double restrict it, because not only can she not summon another Abyssphere, but then you can only use the effect of Abyssphere at all once per turn, which means if there are 2 on the field and you Dark Hole, only 1 gets their effect. Next is Abyss Spike, 1600 attack, and when he's normal or special summoned, which means if they get him off Abyssphere, he can still use his effect, even if it's in damage step. You can discard a water monster to add a level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand. So discard to search out an Atlantean, usually is what you're going to do. Next is Abyss Sturge, level 17, also gets his effect if he's normal or special summoned. Discard a water monster and then target a level 3 or lower water monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Discard to reuse Atlanteans. So Abyss Spike is going to be the searcher and Abyss Sturge is going to be the reuser. Next is Abyss Hilda. Some decks use her, some decks won't. It's kind of like a tech. If she's sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a Mermail monster from your hand. Sets up for some interesting plays. Yeah, if this card is sent to the grave at all, my bad. She doesn't even have to be on the field. So, like, if she's sent to pay the cost, I guess, then she can special summon another Mermail from your hand, which just sets up a lot of plays too. Now onto the Atlanteans. First of all, Atlanteans Dragoons, 1800 attack. This guy is ridiculous. First of all the Atlanteans have, like, or 3 of them, have an effect they have if they're on the field, and an effect they have if they're discarded for a water monster's effect. So, if Dragoons is on the field, all level 3 or lower Sea Serpent monsters can attack directly. That's ridiculous. Like, it sets up for OTKs, and it sets up for a lot of unnecessary damage. Luckily, he's level 4, so he can't attack directly, but Marksman can, and that guy is trouble. Now, if he's discarded, or if he's sent to the grave as the cost for a water effect, then he's the searcher, he's a searcher, kind of like Abyssphere, except he adds to the hand. You can add 1 Sea Serpent type monster from your deck to your hand. Unfortunately, there's no level restriction, which means you can add anything from Abysmegalo to Moulangrace itself to other Atlanteans. Thankfully, Abyssphere is an Aqua, and then Abyss Sturge and Abyss Spike are fishes, so they can't, any of the Sea Serpent boosting stuff doesn't work on them, but Atlantean Dragoons is going to be searching out more Dragoons, or searching out Moulangrace usually. Next is Heavy Infantry. If he's face up on the field, you can normal summon again. So you get an additional normal summon of a level 4 or lower Sea Serpent monster that turn, which means you can normal summon more Atlanteans and then make synchro plays. You can summon another Deep Sea Diva. Like, there's so much you can do with this card, it's ridiculous. And if he's discarded for an effect, then you can target one face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. Here's where the popping effects come in. Like, these, and the fact that you can reuse these guys with stuff like Abyss Sturge is just kind of ridiculous. Heavy Infantry, if they use them for a water effect, then they can pop one face-up card on the field. Now, Marksman, he's the opposite. If they use him for a water effect, you can pop one face-down card on the field. One set card on the field, specifically. So if you if it's a continuous trap and you chain it, then they can't destroy it. But if he's face-up on the field, and he inflicts battle damage, then you can special summon a level 4 or lower Atlantean from your deck. Sea Serpent type, but they're all Sea Serpents, so it doesn't matter. Which is ridiculous, because, like, if he does damage... Well, first of all, if you have... Dragoons on the field, then he can attack directly. And if he does damage after attacking directly, then you can special summon another Dragoons and then go into rank 4s and do even more damage. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, all the plays that he sets up. And the fact that when he's used for a water effect, he can pop face downs. Like, that's just stupid. Now onto their engines. Some builds are going to run Gen X Undyne. Actually, a lot of builds are going to run Gen X Undyne. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad. I don't know, I haven't play tested the deck enough. But I know that it's popular. When he's normal summoned, send a water monster from your deck to your grave to search out a Gen X controller. So they have to have controllers in the deck in order to make him live. But not only that, they have to... If you have Ryo on the field, he can't activate his effect, which is really nice. But yeah, Gen X Undyne is kind of their engine to get water monsters in the grave. And the problem is Valor doesn't do anything to him at all. Like, yes, you stop the search for the Gen X controller, but they could care less about that. They want the setup. They want to put that Atlantean in the grave and activate its effect. And just make combos off of that. Next is Deep Sea Diva. They're just going to run Divas because they're good. She searches out an Atlantean, essentially, for synchro plays, from anything to Catastor to Gungnir. And then, like, she can search out a Marksman, and Marksman lets you normal summon another Diva or another Sea Serpent, which is Diva, and then they can just make a bunch of synchro plays off of that. And last but not least, Moulangrace. He's searchable through Dragoons. He's level 8, I believe, 2800 attack. If you have exactly 5 water monsters in the grave, you can special summon him. And when he's special summoned, discard 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. So that kind of sucks, making your opponent lose resources out of nowhere. And now they have to deal with the 2800 beater. Like, if you see your opponent have 5 water monsters in the grave, be careful. It's going to be the equivalent of seeing 3 darks in the grave. You know to watch out at that point. And his effect is when he's special summoned. So Bottomless doesn't stop his discard effect. You have to Warning it or Valor it or something. Now for consistency, they're going to be running stuff like Moray of Greed, some builds. Shuffle 2 water monsters from your hand into your deck, then draw 3 cards. Lets them get rid of bad hands, get out of bad hands, and salvage 2 water monsters in your grave with 1500 or less attack and add those to your hand. Lets them reuse Atlanteans like crazy. If they have salvage and an Abyss Megalo in their hand, they're going to just use salvage, get back like either the Marksman or the Infantry, and then pop your cards when they summon Abyss Megalo. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And last but not least is the trap that is probably one of the only traps a lot of the decks are going to be running, and that's Abyssphere. What it does is that it special summons a Mermail, negates its effect, you can't use spell cards, and then destroy this card during the end phase of your opponent's next turn. And it's kind of like Call. If you destroy Abyssphere, then the monster they summoned is destroyed. Doesn't sound great at first, but what they're going to do is all day, they're going to activate this and destroy Abyssland. And special summon Abyssland, and then when this is destroyed, and it destroys itself automatically at the end of your next turn, of the end of your opponent's next turn, then Abyssland will be destroyed, and then she'll get her effect. So it's kind of ridiculous. It just adds too much consistency to the deck. You're not going to want to blind MST this deck at all, because you activate MST, they'll chain this, then you'll destroy this, and they'll get Abyssland. Abyssland will search out Abyss Megalo, or whatever they need at that point, honestly. Yeah, that's the main deck for now. They're going to be running extra deck cards like Gungnir, any rank 3s or rank 4s that are waters, so when they when they discard their materials that are Atlanteans, those guys will get their effects too. Like, that's kind of the consistency that the deck has and the power it has. So stuff like Leviathan Dragon, Abyss Dweller, Marrowgeist in some decks, even Zen Mighty Carrier like will work for this. Although I guess they can't use Carrier's effect because they don't run windups. But yeah, so that's the thing with the deck. It's kind of ridiculous. Oh, Bahamut Shark as well, I guess works. Now on to how to beat it, how to side against it. The problem with this deck is that they discard as costs. They don't discard as effects, which means like you Valor their discard outlets, and some of them you can't even Valor because like Abyss Megalo activates in hand, which sucks. So you Valor the discard outlets. It doesn't matter because they paid the cost, and now those Atlanteans are going to get their effects to pop your cards or search. So that's the real problem with the deck. You're going to need to run cards that stop the grave and stop graveyard effects in order to stop them from getting searches and stop them from getting destructive power. So cards like Soul Drain. Soul Drain is easy. It's going to be the equivalent of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is to Insectors. You want to run Soul Drain. It's too good. And the good thing is that this deck doesn't run much back row or stuff like that. So if you can stop their monsters, you shut down like 3/4 of their deck. They run many builds over 20 monsters. Like, they run a lot of monsters, and shutting down that entire aspect of their deck is just amazing. All they're going to do is get like a 2400 beater on the field, and then that's pretty much it. Like, if you can run that over. Do be careful, though, because like if you get a Stardust and you're like, oh, look, I'm fine. They get 2 Abyss Megalos on the field, which, to be fair, isn't the easiest thing to do. But if they do, they can make Big Eye. Watch out for that. Soul Drain is going to shut the deck down, because what Soul Drain does is that it stops all graveyard effects, essentially. The thing is, you can chain Soul Drain to when they, like, activate Abyss Megalo's effect. But you can't train, like, stuff like Macrocosmos also stops the deck, but you can't chain it to their effects, because they're going to pay the cost, the cards are going to hit the grave, and then you chain Macrocosmos. It's going to be too late. Those cards are in the grave, and if they discarded the right card, they can pop your macros, which means it was pointless. So you're going to you have to activate macros or Dimensional Fissure preemptively, or just play Soul Drain. It also works against Dark World and Insectors, so it's a really good side deck card right now, and I really recommend it. Some decks don't like it because it hurts them too, but it's good. Another card that's going to be, I think it's going to go up in price, honestly, and it's going to be Abyss Dweller. You want to run that card. It's a generic rank 4. If your deck can make rank 4s, scraps. If your deck can make rank 4s, run this card. It's only 1700 attack. It does get a 500 boost if you're playing water monsters as materials. So, Mind Control and then summon a level 4 and use this is fun. Also, it's going to be used in the mirror match so much because Abyss Spike will get this guy up to 2200, and what it does is essentially is a Soul Drain only for your opponent and for 1 turn only. It does have 2 materials, so you can activate its effect twice. It'll shut down your opponent's graveyard for like 2 turns, and the card is just good, honestly. Effects that activate in your opponent's graveyard cannot be activated this turn. That's essentially what it does. So, like, they discard for Abyss Megalo, they discard for whatever, Abyss Spike, Abyss Sturge, you activate Chain Dweller's effect, whatever they discarded can't use its effect that turn. And if they're just discarding bad cards, like they're discarding Abyss Lins or other Abyss Megalos because they're just in a bad position, then you don't have to chain its effect, which is really nice. You can save that for whenever you need it. Because the new chain won't start until after the current chain resolves, which means Abyss Dweller's effect will be in play. It's only 1700 attack, which sucks. So it's mainly better in decks that run a lot of back row protection to help it, unless you're running waters, which means it does get up to 2200 attack. So Gearjas are going to abuse him, Scraps are going to abuse him. I mean, you can run him in 6 Sams. It's generic. That's the really nice thing. What else to side? I think that's mainly it. Like, you can side random stuff like Mirror of Oaths to stop Abyssland plays. You can side, because she does special summon from the deck, and whatever she special summons you can destroy and then draw a card. You can side Corridor of Agony. Like, there's a bunch of cards that you can side. None of it's too great. Thunder King, Valor loses a lot of its power against this deck, and so does Thunder King. Thunder King still stops Diva plays and still stops Gen X Undyne plays. So if you open Thunder King, it's a good card. But it's not nearly as strong against this deck as it is against a lot of decks like Plants or Gearjas and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how to side. How to buy. Honestly, if you have the secrets, which is Abyss Megalo or Moulangrace or the Ultras or Ultis in Abyssland, sell them. Honestly, I think they're really overpriced right now. Abyssland maybe not because she is a staple, but she's only like $21. But Abyss Megalo is like 70, and Moulangrace is like 70, which is just ridiculous. The deck's tier 1. It's not tier 0, by any means. So yeah, I think you should sell those. However, pick up cards that aren't really overpriced yet. If you can get your hands on Gungnir's, that card's going to be like a staple for this deck. And this deck's going to be really popular. Like, I'm amazed at how slow people are at changing the prices of cards sometimes. Like, yes, cards for this deck have already gone up in price. But I've seen stuff like Insectors and Windups, like cards for their decks went up in price. And then when the deck actually topped, even though everyone knew it was going to top the events that came after it, they waited till the deck actually topped in order to really skyrocket prices. So I have a feeling Gungnir is going to go up a lot. Stuff like that's going to go up a lot. So any cards, like Super Divas, Super Deep Sea Divas, stuff like that. Abysspheres, I think they're going to go up higher. They're only like $15 right now. There might be 20 and stuff if the deck actually top or wins a YCS. So I'd be prepared for that. Although, honestly, I think decks like Windups can definitely outplay these. Like, turn 1 Shockmaster, call monster effects, and then side into Soul Drains. Like, game over. I'm sorry. But everyone's siding for Windups, which is kind of stopping them from topping a lot. So, yeah, that's how to buy. Don't buy the secrets unless you want to buy it for yourself to play the deck. Don't buy it for trade bait because, honestly, they're really overpriced, and I think they're going to go down in the next month. Yes, like Gear Dragon X is necessary for Gearjas, and Gearja are a top deck. And look at Gear Dragon X; he's only like $45. Yes, we did get a special edition of Return of the Duelist, but I think the cards aren't going to be worth $70 forever. I think they're going to drop down to like 60, 50, and maybe stay around there, which is really expensive. But you'll be losing $20, $40, $60 on a playset. So yeah. That's the latest how to play, how to sign in, how to buy. Hope you guys enjoyed, and later.